want those families and all Iranian Canadians to know that our government will continue to take forceful action to hold this terrorist regime to account.
Oh, terrorists.
Canada will not be a haven
That's
for the
not good.
IRGC, for its money, for its leaders, or for their henchmen. We will continue to stand with all Iranian Canadians who are demanding justice for their friends, their families, and for all of the people, for all of the women of Iran. I'd like to say something very personal for a moment.
This is intense.
One of the things which is so remarkable about Canada is that so many people in Canada are here because they fled repressive regimes, or because their parents or grandparents fled repressive regimes. And what's really amazing about Canada is people who are here having fled repression elsewhere don't forget about that repression they experienced. They remember it, and they continue to fight for the freedom of the people who didn't have the good fortune of coming to Canada.
Exactly.
And I think that is a huge strength of our country. That is what Iranian Canadians are doing right now. I am so proud of their activism, and I want them to know they are speaking for the women of Iran, for the students of Iran, for the people of Iran, and their government, the Canadian government, stands with them. Et nous continuerons à soutenir les Iraniens.
And we will continue to support Iranians, the students from Iran, and all of the demonstrators. They are demonstrating remarkable courage by risking their lives for freedom that is being refused to them. As a woman and a feminist, I have much admiration for the heroism that the Iranian women are showing, faced with brutality, incredible brutality. Freedom is not, it cannot be taken for granted. It depends on those who are ready to fight for it, regardless of the price. And that is what the people in Iran are doing today. And that is why Canada is by their side.
Merci. Nous allons maintenant prendre des questions. We will now take questions from the media. One question, one follow-up. Une question et une question de suivi. Dylan?
Hi, Dylan Robertson from the Canadian Press. Prime Minister, experts say that we don't have the capacity to enforce the existing sanctions. Can you walk us through how you determine this amount of funds, and when do you expect us to be able to have the capacity to carry through on these?
As Canadians have seen over the past number of months, whether it is on sanctions on Russia because of the reprehensible behavior in Ukraine, their invasion of Ukraine, or whether it is against the Iranian regime, Canada has continually stepped up in putting real sanctions on individuals responsible for violations of international law and of human rights in some of the most fundamental ways. That's why the announcement we make today of $76 million to strengthen our ability to monitor and enforce sanctions, but continue to push forward as Canada and Canadians expect us to, on holding to account those most responsible for egregious human rights violations around the world needs to continue. That is why we are using some of the strongest measures Canada has ever seen. We strengthened our sanctions regime a number of years ago and are fully using that now. And we're invoking rarely used measures that have been used against some of the most murderous regimes in the world, whether it was around the Rwandan genocide or war crimes in Bosnia, to apply them to this murderous Iranian regime.
I didn't hear a timeline, but I'd like to ask about the IRGC. Will today's announcement cancel any visas or permanent residency statuses? And do you have any estimate of how many people inside Canada have been part of the Revolutionary Guards?
The work that we will be doing over the coming days and weeks to make sure that this is the strongest possible series of measures against the Iranian regime and against the IRGC is fully underway right now. I know ministers will come before Canadians and the media next week to further detail some of the measures that we are working on. We have been working on this all week and will continue to make sure not only that these are some of the strongest measures in the world against Iran, but they are fully effective in going after the right people, be they in Iran or in Canada.
Next question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Chrystia on CBC TV. Just wanted to ask you, I believe this is not a full terror